Craigie Poo.
Craigie, baby. If you guys are wondering, we have a really sexy bot in our Discord server that we use to record in, and his name is Craig. He is Craigbot.
Dude, it's so unfortunate. We don't even need anything to have a pulse for us to be like, he's so hot.
And if you're wondering, Craig really does have like a sensual voice.
Yeah, not robotic in the slightest.
Not at all. He definitely sounds like, hey babes, now recording. Definitely.
Yep. No gaslighting in this podcast ever.
I would never.
No. Anyway, I'm Hannah.
I'm Maggie.
Not Manna.
Not Haggy.
And welcome to FEM-dom.
Welcome to FEM-dom. Hey chat, it's Maggie. I just kind of wanted to come on here and give you a warning real quick that my microphone started cutting out towards the end of the podcast because I am an amateur. So please strap yourselves in for that and don't hate me. And I hope you enjoy and continue to listen to the podcast after my audio starts to cut out and you listen to future episodes. Thank you so much. I am so sorry.
What's up, guys? Welcome to our podcast. This is episode 1.
Oh yeah, baby. And you're probably wondering, these people might sound familiar. Well, it's because we're in your walls.
Constantly. We're in your ears right now, but we have maintained residence in your walls for the past 6 months.
Mm-hmm. We are stalking you. But in all reality, we are the freaks on TikTok. I am always seen as the freak in Hannah's comment section.
It's vice versa. It's not just a one-way thing. This is transactional.
It's a transactional relationship, and we actually do not care about each other whatsoever.
Yeah, I flew out to St. Louis for no reason.
It was for marketing. Anyway, guys, that's a lie. Hannah and I met on TikTok, and how we met, why we met, and the topic of that will be discussed today.
Oh my God. Dude, to this day, I still get comments under my TikTok video. I still get people liking that TikTok video. It gets to a point where I'm like, I feel like people get to see this hallmark in our relationship. It's so beautiful.
If you're wondering, Hannah and I met on TikTok due to the both of us being quite obsessed with what we do in the shadows. Specifically, Nandor the Relentless, but even more specific, Kayvan Novak, the actor.
Yeah, because we'd be lying if we said that my TikTok was not directly just about Kayvan Novak, because I was just posting shirtless pictures of him in all media.
And I was searching, scrounging the internet for more of that content.
You're so welcome.
And I found Hannah, and I just kept liking Hannah's stuff. And one day I said, hey, can we be friends?
And of course the answer was yes.
And we ended up talking off of TikTok, and we had a lot in common, most certainly and specifically our love for Kayvan Novak. And before we talk more about him, I just want to say, Kayvan, if you're listening to this, I just want to say I'm really sorry for the things that I've said about you on the internet. I've only said good things, but they're probably very inappropriate.
I would also be lying if I said my TikTok audio that I chose for it was something about carpet burn on my
nether regions.
Okay, listen, maybe I was not picking the most appropriate TikTok audio, but I chose it and I'm living with that decision.
We are so much older now, not really.
So much older.
And we've matured.
We said there was no gaslighting on this podcast.
But Kayvan Novak plays the character Nandor the Relentless in What We Do in the Shadows, and we love him. And Kayvan is a beautiful, beautiful man. But let's get into our content warning, because, guys,
this podcast
come
is
on.
it's a little appropriate. If you're under the age of 18, it's, maybe not for you.
If you are under the age of 18, ask a trusted family member if you can listen to this. Ask your mom, and ask your mom to listen to this with you.
Oh.
I'm sure she'd have a great time.
Maybe.
Shout out to all the moms out there. Shout out to Kate.
Yep. Shout out to Erica.
But seriously, this podcast is for mature audiences, and we like to discuss age inappropriate crushes. We like to talk about yaoi. We like to talk about fan fiction. We're here discussing pop culture and fandom culture and how that affects the world around us.
Mm-hmm. Very important stuff that we're discussing, of course.
And if you like that, you're going to like this.
Yep. I had nothing else to add. You did it.
Well, Hannah, should I get into the topic of this episode?
Because we could not be talking about Kayvan Novak if we weren't discussing one of the most popular shows that he has been in, which of course would be
What We Do in the Shadows.
Pause for applause.
Golf clap, golf clap, golf clap. It's a very, if you don't know what a golf clap is, it's a very delicate little clap.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, you can't even hear it.
Oh, man.
We got sound suppression up in this bitch.
Darn it.
But let me tell you about the history of What We Do in the Shadows and the background of all of it. Because I'm a researcher. Not really. I knew all of this. What We Do in the Shadows was originally a mockumentary movie that came out in 2014, written by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement, following a group of vampires who live together in New Zealand. The vampires experience modern life and try to adapt while interacting with other undead beings. Mostly their number one enemies, werewolves. Their take on modern life is awkward, and they learn to adjust after one of their housemates turns a young man into a vampire. They also befriend that vampire's best friend, Stu, who is a very big deal in that movie. They awkwardly...
Stu.
We love Stu. They love
Yes.
Stu. Stu is just a boring IT guy, and they love him.
Yeah.
They awkwardly interact with the world around them and slightly/embarrassingly dominate the undead world together. So you're probably wondering, oh my god, that's a movie, right? Well, that movie became such a cult fan favorite, and so many networks all over the globe were asking for a television adaptation. And Taika and Jermaine were like, kind of like, you guys really liked it that much? We're kind of done with this project. But they eventually signed a deal with FX, and it turned into the TV spin-off, which became the 2019 to 2024 television series, What We Do in the Shadows.
Pause for applause.
Pause for applause. Pause for applause, guys. The show took a very different spin, with the setting being in Staten Island, New York, with a whole new set of vampires. The show follows 4 vampires and their familiar. Nandor the Relentless, where the
I'm sweating.
The screams. Nausea of Antipaxos.
I'm sweating again.
Laszlo Cravensworth.
My armpits, they can't take it.
Colin Robinson, the master of the mundane, the energy vampire.
I'm a little drier now.
And their familiar, Guillermo de la Cruz. The vampires are also...
Slay!
Slay indeed. Slay indeed.
Mm-hmm.
The vampires are also learning how to adapt to the modern world with the help of Guillermo. Yet many twists, turns, and emotional moments happen, showing the viewers that sometimes found family is the thing that keeps one sane. For sure. For sure.
Should we dive into the meat and potatoes?
I want that meat.
I want the potatoes.
Can I have the brisket?
I guess.
Thanks.
Can you give me your baked potato?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'd like the sour cream too, thank you.
Yeah, I don't really like the sour cream on a potato, so...
Okay, slay.
But hey, let's talk about What We Do in the Shadows. I love the show, Hannah, and I love the show so much. It was the thing.
We're obsessed.
It was obviously the thing that created our friendship.
We were constantly in each other's comment sections, but we were also constantly in Instagram comment sections of the What We Do in the Shadows TV show. And we were prominent commenters. We should just say that.
I want to also say that I posted so much about What We Do in the Shadows on social media that I ended up getting a PR box from Hulu for Christmas the year the show ended. I don't even know how it happened. I just got a DM from Hulu one day and was like, here, claim your gift. And I was like, what? And I got a DoorDash gift card, I got a blanket, I got chocolate, and I got a cookie, and I got a sticker, and it was really cool. And I think they were just like, yeah, we have FX on here, but you need to shut up. So we're gonna bribe you. We're gonna bribe you with silence. Please.
They didn't send me a PR package. What the hell?
I didn't have anything else going on in my life at the time, so I think they felt bad for me.
I was working 2 jobs, I guess.
I was ill mentally and physically.
Yep.
But What We Do in the Shadows obviously has affected Hannah and I's life so much. And I think And I think we need to come clean real quick.
About what? There's a lot of things we have to come clean about.
The cameo.
How could I forget? Oh my God. No, that's so embarrassing. You're putting me on the spot. Anyways, I'm going to tell you guys about the time that I bought a Cameo from Kayvan Novak. Yeah, it's like March of 2025 and I decide, you know what? I love Kayvan Novak so much and Maggie loves Kayvan Novak so much. And I've got a pretty steady income right now. And you know what? I just got a paycheck and I was thinking, I've never bought a Cameo before. You know when's a better time to do it but the present? And so I may have purchased a $200 Cameo from Kayvan Novak, asking him to say happy birthday to the freaks in his Instagram comment section. And yes, he did call us the freaks in the Cameo. Thank you very much.
And I want to say, Kayvan Novak, thank you for that. And I also want to say, Hannah, thank you so much for paying all that money for that.
No, it's okay. It wasn't that big of a deal. I literally had gotten my paycheck like the day prior, and I was like, yeah, I have expendable income.
I want to let you all know that I reimbursed Hannah by buying GalaxyCon tickets, which were about like a similar price. But
yes.
Anyway, let's get into the brisket, shall we?
Yes.
God, we're so American.
Yep.
What we do in the shadows, in my opinion, is a perfect introduction for people that want to get into gothic horror or supernatural media. And it excels in that because it's very comedic. It kind of just like they kind of hold your hand as you get into like the gore and the grit of it, which includes folklore from other vampire media and cultural folklore about the myth of vampires.
Yes, we love when shows do their research most of the time.
So what we do in the shadows includes is vampires are not really big fans of religious imagery. They get really freaked out and feel a sense of pain. Like if you say the word God around these vampires, they're like hissing. If they're in a church, they're burning. They cannot hold like a cross or a rosary or look at it.
Yeah.
As well as they have an intolerance for silver and garlic.
Could not be me.
And they can't go out into the sun unless they want to burn into ash, which is so amazing. They're cold to the touch, and I think a really great way of showing how they don't have body heat is in one of the first episodes, they have to like sign a tablet for a package, and none of the vampires can do it, so they take Guillermo, their familiar's finger, and like sign their names with his finger because they're not registering on the touch screen.
And listen, I did not know that while watching the show for the first time. I was just like, oh, Nandor's an idiot. He doesn't know what a screen is.
And it was also funny because it shows like the outdatedness of vampires. Because Laszlo was like, do you have a quill?
Yeah.
No, I'm not fucking signing that.
So dismissive. We love him.
There is also the fact that they prefer to feed off of virginal blood. So they love virgins. Anytime there is big event, the vampires try to find a virgin they can feed off of.
I just don't know how you sniff that out. I mean, I guess they show it in the show. They just look for the nerdiest people.
In my opinion, nerds are the biggest freaks. So I think you got that wrong.
Yeah, it could be incorrect, yeah.
Whoever wrote the first season, I think you got that wrong. There is also the amazing aspect of it that includes queerness, bisexual, pansexuality. Because let's be real, if you were alive for like centuries, wouldn't you get bored of like hitting the same thing? If you were straight, like I'm bisexual, I can't speak on that, but like I think if I was straight, I'd get really tired of men.
No, literally, my fingers would be everywhere on every person.
And there would be no consequences because I'm a vampire. I can just kill you.
Oh, true.
Another really funny thing is there is allegedly some myth that if you drop a bunch of grains of rice on the floor, vampires feel the need to count every single grain of rice. They do this in such a funny way. They're doing experiments to try to figure out what is actually real vampire lore, what is fake, and they drop rice on the ground, and Laszlo and Nandor, I don't need to do that. And they're like, but let's just do it to be safe. And they're like counting each individual grain of rice. It's funny.
10 out of 10 bit. Very funny. I did enjoy it.
It was great. Now, let's talk about some inconsistencies with vampire media, maybe their own sort of lore, because, I mean, every vampire show does kind of have its own vampiric lore, but I feel like Shadows did it in a way where it's like, just because I am wearing, like, unlike other shows, there is kind of the they follow the basic vampire things. Other shows, they'll be like, I have this ring, so I can walk in the sun and be a sexy vampire in daytime. And I don't like that, to be honest. Like,
And there's witches and werewolves and mermaids, and it's like, how do humans not know about this?
yeah, exactly. Shadows just has so many supernatural elements into it. But with the folklore of vampires and the way that they do it, it's funny. In some vampire media, and I'm specifically referring to the Vampire Chronicles, the books of the Anne Rice stuff. I am not talking about the TV show. In that media, vampires cannot have sex because their reproductive system is dead, so they can't get it up.
Whap whap.
But in What We Do in the Shadows, they love to have sex, and they love to have sex with each other all of the time.
Frequently. Sometimes on screen.
Oh yeah. And we love when that happens.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I was locked into the TV.
My Catholic guilt is telling me not to say things, but fuck that. It was hot.
Yeah.
It was hot. And I think my favorite thing that they did with kind of their own vampire lore is the whole bat thing, that they can turn into bats and fly around as bats. And in some vampire lore, that isn't a thing. I've seen in other things that vampires can turn into a bunch of bats, but they're never like a singular bat.
Yeah.
They can also turn into like other animals too if they really want to do like some shape shifting bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That was underutilized in the show. It was only done once.
Such a very good point in the episode, very good point in the show, but then they never use it again.
Yeah, Nandor like turns into a dog for like a few minutes in an episode, and he was a very cute dog. I do believe Nandor would be a German Shepherd.
Yeah, I think they nailed that in the writer's room.
But the bat thing is amazing. The bat thing was written into the script, but we hear Laszlo yell bat every time he turns into a bat.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually wasn't scripted. They were filming the pilot, and it was super late at night, and Matt Berry, who plays Laszlo, was really tired, and they're like, hey, could you like jump up in the air so we could like do the CGI and then you'd turn into a bat? And he's like, I'm not fucking doing that. And then he just yelled bat, and it became a reoccurring bit in the show.
And I think that's very funny. I think they were manifesting their forms, and I think they were ahead of the TikTok girlies.
Amen.
Yeah, they were shifting before anyone else was. Throwback to shifting, y'all remember that?
Amen. Also, to my audience, I do want to apologize if you can hear my cat screaming, because she's very mad that I am in a closed room without her.
Aw. Is it Itty or Kiki?
It's Itty.
Oh, yeah, I thought I heard her earlier.
So apologies if you hear a cat. It's actually a vampire.
Yes. Yep.
Anyway, let's talk about the jokes that they make in Shadows.
There's a lot of them. It's a comedic show.
A lot of the jokes they make is just about how vampires are really queer and really horny. I mean, they have orgies all of the time. They homie hop. And I'm gonna die on this hill when I say this. I think every vampire is a homie hopper. Like, they gotta keep each other entertained, guys. It is immortality. You're together for an eternity, so why not taste each other's
Oh my
partners,
god.
I suppose.
You know that meme that you see in comment sections all the time that's like, do you think they've explored each other's bodies? That What We Do in the Shadows leaves no room to the imagination. They have.
Every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's also the toilet humor of What We Do in the Shadows, and I feel as if vampires, since they have not had a normal human body in so many years, they are kind of fascinated with pissing and shitting.
Mm-hmm. Lots of it.
They love to make jokes about that, and it is very entertaining, I will say. I'm not a fan of toilet humor, but
I am.
I find it tasteful in the Shadows.
Yeah, I did laugh very hard at that episode where, oh my God, where Guillermo is like trying to stay awake because he's trying to protect the vampires. And like a vampire breaks in and he's like, oh my God, I need to eat these espresso beans. I have to eat these chocolate espresso beans to keep me awake. And then he spills them all over the bathroom floor. And Nandor's like, oh, you should really drink more water. Okay, you're telling me you've lived in New York for how long and you've never seen shit in a toilet? You're lying. You're
I
lying.
think it probably traumatizes Nandor because he probably forgot about that when it comes to humanity. I bet Homeboy has walked into a porta potty, thought it was a phone booth, and looked into the toilet and was traumatized and blocked it out of his mind.
And I feel like vampires might have the power to do that.
He hypnotized himself.
Oh, you know what? Maybe he looked in a mirror. Wait, no, they can't see themselves. Wait, how did
They
he do
can't see
it?
themselves in. That's another thing. The vampires can't see themselves in mirrors.
Wait, okay, so then, all right. Anyway, I'm going off into the weeds.
So all of those jokes are just amazing. They're well timed, and we love it. We love it so much. The show, like we're gonna say a million times, the show is a comedy.
Yes. And for my millennial audiences who are not afraid to remind me of that in my comment sections, thank you. I'm so glad that you could say that.
Actually, Hannah, it's a comedy.
Good to know. Hey, do you want to know a Reddit mod's favorite place to get water?
What? Where?
Well, actually, but
So we will talk more about the comedic aspect of this, but let's talk about the concept of all vampires are born out of trauma.
Trauma, very heavy topic that happens in a lot of gothic media.
But hey, it's a comedy.
Yeah, exactly. It's a comedy.
So what we do in the shadows does really dive into the backstories, the human lives that these vampires lived before they were turned into vampires. And they also talk about the turning stories for most of them and how they were shocking and traumatic. But the vampires seem very detached from their emotions, so they try to make it as possible. But if you really look at their facial expressions and their body language, you can kind of tell it sucked. And the vampires in the show do try to cling to humanity or get reconnected with humanity and humans throughout the show. And in my personal opinion, that's really what I thought the point of Shadows was that they were reconnecting with humanity.
Yeah, not so.
But apparently not.
We'll dive into what the ultimate end point of the show was, what the ultimate like message was, but obviously we're not happy about it.
Absolutely not. But
no.
Let's get into Nandor.
Yes.
The first character we're going to talk about when it comes to trauma is Nandor the Relentless. And I will be speaking about Nandor very, very often because Nandor is my favorite character, but also his connection to humanity and feeling traumatized by his eternal existence is basically the biggest representation of that in the show. A lot of the other vampires still miss being a human. They still miss their human connections, but we see it the most with Nandor.
Yeah, very frequently. It's a topic of quite a few of the episodes throughout many of the seasons.
Nandor repeatedly wishes to be human, and he talks down about vampirism and immortality, and he labels it as like lonely and it's a curse, and he wishes it never happened to him. We see Nandor trying to make friends with people and doing human things as much as possible. He tries to go to the gym and wants to ask out a lady. He makes friends at the gym. And he struggles so much with not being a human and not having human connection that he ends up in one episode actually joining this vampire cult thing that promises vampires that they can end up being human again. And he totally believes that.
It's quite unfortunate, especially because it's such a good episode. It also shows, Nandor, your heart's in the right place, but man, you're really going in all the wrong places.
And in that episode, too, we see Nandor speaking to Guillermo when he's going to leave and join this cult. And Guillermo's like, oh, can you turn me into a vampire? The conversation that happens constantly. And he says to Guillermo, vampire is and I care too much for you to burden you with that.
Mm.
Because he does not want to see the closest individual in his life go through the trauma and the transition phase and all of the changes that come with becoming a vampire because it's traumatic.
Yep. And we see this a lot throughout the show. I mean, they constantly, you guys, it's a comedy, but they constantly touch on their traumas that or things that happen to them that are like funny beats that are like, oh, maybe we should revisit that in therapy.
There is another arguably funny part of Nandor missing humanity, and we also learn from this that Nandor really likes animals. He talks often about a horse he had when he was a human, when he was the supreme viceroy of Al-Qanadar. He had a horse named Jahan.
Yep.
And Nandor talks about Jahan all the time, and I think Jahan was probably one of the highlights of Nandor's humanity, and he just really misses his horsey.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it. I think it's okay to miss the people in your life or the animals in your life that made an impact, which I feel like, again, underutilized in this show. These emotional beats, they do mean something, and they do leave an impact on audiences, because these are the scenes you remember.
Nandor is a horse girl.
Yes, nothing wrong with it. We love him for that.
Let's get into Laszlo. We love Laszlo and Naja, but I feel as if the vampires that are kind of the most cool with being a vampire and kind of don't give a fuck about humanity are Laszlo and Naja. But we see some very interesting things with Laszlo and how he cares about humans. He is best friends with their next door neighbor, Sean.
I mean, they are. If he could homie hop to Sean, he would.
Yes, and he tries to many times. Laszlo and Sean just have this interesting relationship. Laszlo loves interacting with Sean in the way that he can kind of cosplay as a human and be a human for a bit, but he has fucked up by showing his vampiric nature to Sean so many times that he has had to hypnotize the man to the point where this man has lost, like, God knows how many brain cells. And Laszlo just adores Sean. I think Laszlo also really wants to fuck Sean.
Yeah.
But he adores it. And they have a great dynamic.
Yeah, they're very funny. Every time they're on screen, it's like, it's very heartwarming to see that Laszlo connects to humanity through another person that he chooses actively not to kill. It's nice.
Yes. And then we have everybody's favorite episode, the Jackie Daytona episode.
Oh, brother. I mean, oh, yay.
I love the Jackie Daytona episode, but I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites. Everybody in the fandom, mostly millennials and like the Gen Xers out there, they love the Jackie Daytona episode.
They love to remind me about it in my comment section. Jackie Daytona, human bartender.
Jackie Daytona, regular human bartender. So the Jackie Daytona episode, Laszlo runs off because he owes a vampire some money and he's just too prideful to pay the guy $200, which he definitely has. Like, you can't tell.
Not me. Stay safe, though.
You can't tell me that Laszlo doesn't have $200.
Yeah.
And he runs off to some rural town in Pennsylvania and cosplays as a human for like a week. And he kills a bar owner and he creates this little persona for himself, which is Jackie Daytona, who hails from Tucson, Arizona. He interacts with the town people. He creates such a beautiful relationship with them. To the point that he is supporting the girls' high school volleyball team. And
very sweet.
Everybody is like, who is Jackie Daytona? So we really see in this episode that Laszlo is a soft.
Yeah, he cares.
He does so many things in order to support that community because it was his little refuge from owing a vampire $200. And it's
again, could not be me.
It's really cute.
It is.
And we also see his connection with Guillermo. He always puts Guillermo down, but at the end of the day, he really does care about Guillermo. And when we get into the whole thing where Guillermo is a half-baked vampire because he was turned by someone that doesn't know how to properly be a sire, Laszlo does whatever he can in his science experiments to figure out what is wrong with Guillermo because he does care about Guillermo, one of the rare humans that he actually cares about.
Yep.
I would like you to do Naja.
Oh, okay. I would like to do Naja. What? Who said that?
Wait, can I be involved?
Oh, yeah, of course. Okay, guys, let's dive in. She is, hands down, the most badass of the vampires that live in the Staten Island coven. Coven? They all are afraid of her, as they should be, because she is also the slayest of all of them. She is so good at being herself and in her femininity that it threatens the men in the household. And it's really funny to watch.
She keeps them all on their toes. They are absolutely terrified of Naja. And I mean, I'm intimidated.
Afraid? Not the right word. Aroused?
I'm afraid if she wants me to be.
Yeah, exactly. Naja's connection with humanity, beyond her sexcapades, of course, are her connection to it's her connection to Jenna in the first season. It's such a nice little plot line B for the show. It really follows the human life of Jenna, who is utterly pathetic, and Naja really feels for her because she's constantly not in her own power, feeling intimidated by the boys around her, and Naja sees herself in Jenna. And so she turns Jenna into a vampire. And it's a very good episode. I wish they had continued with the plotline, but I do understand that the actress who played Jenna was booked.
She was booked and busy. Her career took off.
Yeah, ever since she was in Booksmart, dude. 10 out of 10.
Amen. And I really loved the Jenna part of What We Do in the Shadows because it really showed that Naja really wanted to empower women. And I really wish they would have continued with Naja's kind of feminist arc there because it really made me respect her a lot as a character.
And I feel like you get to see you get to see her follow her own feminism in a way throughout the end seasons, like the last couple of seasons. You know, you get to see her kind of regaining her culture with little Auntie Paxos, which she finds in New York. And then in season 6, you get to see her go to Canon Capital and be a girl boss and really like try and work her way up to the top. But, you know, was the plotline perfect? We'll get into that.
Also, her nightclub.
How could I forget? The absolute girl boss that she is. She opened a nightclub called Naja's. It was a good plotline. I'm sad that it burned down. Spoiler warning. Sorry, guys. The show's been out for a few years.
Yeah, it was an accident and she totally didn't start the fire.
Yeah. We didn't start the
fire. And then we have the master of the mundane himself. And I honestly feel like Colin Robinson, we don't really see him really caring that much about humanity because him as an energy vampire means that he's draining the life out of vampires, out of humans, whoever he can, for himself to exist and succeed. And I think the only times we really see Colin really wanting to have a connection with humanity is in the last season. There's 2 instances. Laszlo is on his weird Dr. Frankenstein bullshit, and he's trying to create a monster. And Colin really wants to be involved because he wants this monster to be created to be his only friend. He helps Laszlo create the monster and also raise the monster, and he wants to raise the monster to be like a really nice guy. Meanwhile, Laszlo is kind of focusing on the monster being a protector.
Yes, we love a clash narrative.
And the monster kind of ends up favoring Colin Robinson.
Yep.
Because Colin is soft with him, is kind with him, and overall, Colin just wants a friend.
Very sweet. It's a quaint little relationship. I wish that it wasn't saved for the last season.
I wish the monster was a bigger part of the show. And
Right?
the actor did a really great job, too.
Yeah.
And then we see Colin Robinson kind of struggling with not having friends. He gets invited to go to a friend's house for dinner. He used to work at an office with a guy, and the guy is apparently Colin Robinson's best friend, and they haven't seen each other in years. And Colin's really excited to see him, but he's afraid to go by himself, so he invites Naja to go with him. And we learn the reason he's afraid to go by himself is because his friend's wife wants to fuck him.
Mm-hmm. Plainly.
And the entire plot point of that episode is his friend begging Colin to fuck his wife.
Yeah. And he wants to be in the cuck chair.
Yes. The friend wants to be in the cuck chair. And it's very sad because Colin really just wanted to like hang out with her, have a friend, and there were ulterior motives. And it is very sad when we see him leave that house upset about it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into the meat and the potatoes. We're going to be talking about our favorite, the one that slays the most. Guillermo de la Cruz and his
Yes.
impact on the vampires. I'm gonna be real. Guillermo is the heart and soul of what we do in the shadows.
He is underrated in his own show, and I see that in a lot of popular media nowadays. It's really unfortunate because the main character is the main character for a reason.
Amen. But we'll get into that. I want to talk about Guillermo's impact on the vampires, how he served them, all of this. Guillermo was made to be Nandor's familiar when he was 19.
Mm-hmm.
When the show ends, Guillermo has been serving the vampires for, I believe, like 13 or 16 years.
Yep, something like that.
And he is just a sweetie, a sweetie. He does everything he can to help them and Nandor. He has helped them adapt to the modern world technology. He has killed for them, brings them victims. He actually killed like over 100 vampires in one sitting because they were trying to kill Nandor, Lazo, Colin, and Naja all together, and he just jumped in and saved their asses because Guillermo has Van Helsing blood.
Dun dun dun.
And he did so much work for them, but was never ever appreciated. So in the last season, we really see Guillermo grow a backbone and try to go out into the world by himself. But the vampires realize, well, sometimes you don't realize what you had until you lost it. And they mourned his presence and did whatever they could to still be around him.
Mm-hmm. It's pathetic, but in a cute way most of the time.
Yes. A little bit creepy, but
yeah,
cute.
Well, par for the course.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Everybody take a sip before we move on here.
Okay, let's take a little drink. I'm gonna take a drink, and then how about we do our little ASMR section here?
Yes.
Just a little quiet. Yeah. Let's lean into the microphone a little bit.
Hey guys, I just want to remind you that it's just a comedy, and any of your feelings or your ability to have media literacy doesn't matter because it's just a comedy.
Everything that we are about to say does not matter because we are women and because the show is about comedy.
If we were men, maybe you'd listen to us, but this is a female podcast, not a male podcast. Queerness doesn't matter. Women don't matter. Comedy is the only thing that matters.
And thank you to all of the men in my TikTok comment section that would constantly remind me of that. I really did appreciate that. Thank you.
It's just a comedy. I wanted more of Jackie Daytona, a regular human bartender that hails from Tucson, Arizona.
Listen, if you had made at least 2 more seasons of just Jackie Daytona, the show would have been fine.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Who cares about Nandor? Guillermo should have been killed off. I mean, he wasn't that important.
Word.
Okay.
ASMR section out.
Guys, I want to talk about a very popular fan pairing.
You know the one.
We're going to be speaking about the pairing between Nandor and Guillermo. We are going to be speaking about Nandermo.
Because, oh my God, so much can be said about it. And guess what? The rest of the podcast can be about it.
Sorry.
Oops.
All right, let's talk about Nandermo. We were robbed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. We were robbed.
It was a problem. It was a problem we were led on, and we're not just saying this as like a baseless thing. There are actually facts that we have lined up to discuss as to why Nandermo should have happened and was leading to happening. But then the writer's strike happened. Dun dun dun.
Dun 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 dun. All right, Nandermo. Let's do it. There are very interesting power dynamics with Nandor and Guillermo. We have the vampire, the very powerful ancient vampire, and his human servant. As I mentioned earlier, Guillermo became Nandor's familiar when he was only 19 years old. He did whatever he could to take care of Nandor. He coddled Nandor, brushed his hair, got him ready for bed every night, and handled Nandor's weird sort of trauma moments and quirks because, well, Guillermo loved him.
Regardless of how much he wanted to be a vampire, he still cared at the end of the day because guess what? He still came back.
Amen. And even in the moments where Nandor and Guillermo are separated, we hear Guillermo still refer to Nandor as his best friend. But throughout this relationship, Nandor is quite awful to Guillermo. He refuses to turn Guillermo after 10 years of service, many other years of service. And he often puts Guillermo down verbally and physically.
Yes.
However, Nandor does eventually realize that Guillermo is equally as powerful as he is. Guillermo has Van Helsing blood. Guillermo is a direct descendant of Abraham Van Helsing himself, and he has every instinct, ability, and possibility to be able to kill vampires incredibly simply and could excel at it. But he chooses not to kill the vampires he is living with because he loves them. Most importantly, he loves Nandor.
Their relationship throughout the show is probably the pinnacle moments. It's the moments that are focused on the most. They take up so much screen time. You know, you get to see these looks between the two of them. And there's just something. Even if the power dynamics are there, there's something else there.
There is so much yearning between them and opportunities that were not taken. And it just makes me really sad.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about the power dynamics and how that was explained by some of the creators of the show, I'm kind of disgusted by it because I'm like, oh, well, why would you want to date your boss? Wouldn't you find it weird if your boss had a crush on you? Why do we all of a sudden have a moral compass when it comes to a show about vampires who are like really bad people?
Mind you, half of the marketing for the show in the seasons prior were about Nandermo, were about the relationship between them, the will they, won't they aspect. And then they drop it in the final season, but we didn't know they were actually dropping it. They were just dropping hints, very blatant, loud hints throughout all of their interviews leading up to the end of the show.
And talking about different power dynamics and actually realizing how strong of a character Guillermo is and how physically and intelligently he is strong, just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, Guillermo beat the shit out of Nandor many times. But he held himself back.
Yeah.
He held himself back. He didn't want to kill him.
Because he loved him.
He loved him. He loved him. And there's a scene in, I don't know what season it was. It was the night market scene where they're fighting each other. And Nandor has to pretend to kill Guillermo because he knows not actually beat Guillermo's ass.
Mm-hmm.
And Nandor actually gets kind of scared that he did kill Guillermo for a moment. And he panics.
Because
emotions.
Yeah, but emotions that he's never willing to confront until it's too late. Oh, womp womp.
Nandor and Guillermo do have a lot of tiffs, a lot of arguments. There are different power dynamics, but deep down they do have an insane amount of love and respect for each other. And we can see that in the ways that they speak to each other and how the relationship blossoms. Nandor knows Guillermo better than anyone else, and vice versa. And a really big part of how we see how well they know each other is when Nandor learns that Guillermo was turned into a vampire. He tells him that the only reason he didn't turn him into a vampire was because he thought that Guillermo could not handle it. That he is too good as a human. And Guillermo always resented him for that.
No, why would Nandor think that?
Why would Nandor think that? And maybe that leads back to Nandor's trauma.
Yes.
Eventually, Guillermo gets tired of it. After the whole failed vampire arc, he is done. He is so done. And I feel like with the whole vampire arc of Guillermo, it really does show how much Nandor cares for him, because when Guillermo ends up moving on, Nandor has a whole crash out.
Yeah, a big one.
We get the whole episode, Nandor gets fired from Canon Capital, and he's pissed off. And I don't think he was necessarily pissed off that he was not good at his job and got fired. I think he felt that he had no connection to Guillermo.
Yep. He has this fear of abandonment that you see with Guillermo. It's really disheartening to see sometimes how he just falls apart for Guillermo, only for Guillermo not to see it. How much Guillermo falls apart for Nandor, and Nandor doesn't see it. Oh, God, the yearning.
It is so tragic. But in that Nandor's army episode, we actually kind of really see a glimpse how much Nandor does care about Guillermo and how much he wants Guillermo in his life. He ends up crashing out to Guillermo and he says, I don't know what to do now, basically. He says, it was my purpose. My purpose was to raise you into a great and powerful vampire, and I don't know what to do anymore. I put up with your shit when you killed the Baron, when you killed hundreds of vampires. I was fine when you wanted to be a bodyguard. I was fine when you wanted to be a vampire, and then you didn't want to be a vampire. What else is next? What is there for us?
Yeah.
Basically. That's how I viewed Nandor.
I agree with you.
Why did they drop the ball?
I don't know. Okay, I get so mad every time I think about it that I literally had to distance myself from the media. I stopped talking about what we do in the shadows on TikTok. I stopped interacting with it because I could not handle the amount of discourse over something that we were led to believe that ultimately fell through.
And I want to talk. I also agree with you. I was very upset. I made a lot of content on social media being upset about it, and then I stopped. I stopped for a few reasons. Number one, because I was tired of talking about it. I was tired of getting invalidated by other people on the internet saying, it's just a comedy.
It's a joke. Lean into it.
And I also did end up getting the attention of the executive producer.
Gulp.
So I kind of stopped talking about it because, hey, Paul Sims.
You know he's not listening to this. He is too focused on other TV shows right now. That's what we have to tell ourselves.
Hey, Paul Sims.
Hey, Paul Sims.
Don't sue me. I already made a public apology for you. But the whole baiting of it was just horrible. I mean, as we mentioned earlier, there is all this marketing. In interviews and in the actual merchandise, there was all this marketing surrounding Nandor and Guillermo. And the actors and the creators themselves even said, this is a show that is a love story between Nandor and Guillermo.
Yep.
It's a slow burn. We're going to see it. We didn't.
And yes, was part of it the actors just playing it up for the fans? 100%. That happens in a lot of shows. We see that with Destiel. We see that with Clance. We see people play that up. However, when it includes the marketing campaigns that are directly created by the showrunners, it becomes less of a joke and more of something you didn't commit to.
Amen. And on that topic, I will do our top Nandero scenes. But I want to talk about how What We Do in the Shadows was listed and labeled as a queer show. I feel as if the show used queerness for marketing. I feel as if the show wanted it to be queer and they dropped the ball, and queerness ended up becoming a joke.
I almost feel like the showrunners thought, well, it was a serious plotline in season 5. It doesn't need to be a serious plotline in season 6. Not true. You still have to handle the topics with care.
Amen. What really irks me about this is we do have some beautiful scenes about queerness. We see Guillermo having his first boyfriend, which of course Nandor ruins. We see Guillermo coming out to his family.
Very emotional beats. They were good.
Very, very good. And I am absolutely disgusted that queerness ended up being a joke. They used queerness as a way to be like, oh, the vampires are bisexual because they have sex with each other and they have orgies and stuff.
And that's all they do.
And there was never actually a queer pairing that lasted for more than an episode.
Yeah. Which was unfortunate.
Which sucked. Nobody likes the Freddy episode besides Kayvan.
Yeah. Sorry, Kayvan, if you're listening, that episode, oof, that hurt.
I know you probably enjoyed acting like an asshole, but I hated that episode.
I was hurt.
It was.
I was hurt.
I didn't want Nandor. I mean, I didn't want Nandor and Freddy. I didn't want Guillermo and Freddy. Obviously, I wanted Nandor and Guillermo, but that oof. Oh my god, that episode.
Yeah. God.
I mean, just the absolute way that you hype up queerness, that you hype up these identities. You had an entire community of queer people of different demographics, backgrounds, age groups, everything rallying behind this show. And you drop the ball. And you also make arguably offensive comments.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we talk about the MAGA joke?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the MAGA joke.
Okay, good. MAGA fav, of course. Make America great again for vampires. Listen, I understand that sometimes it is purposeful to make jokes in a socio-political climate like ours today. However, it is distasteful to make a joke that is seemingly in favor of a president who is actively removing people from their homes and exporting them from this country.
Exactly.
And then to also have actors who are connected to other cultures that are affected by the political climate. It just doesn't feel like a right move to make in your final episode as kind of like a, oh, F you, we can do this now. I mean, you can. Nobody liked it.
I personally thought that was just such a huge slap in the face. And obviously, I'm not Harvey Guillen. I don't know how he felt about it. But we see, like, Guillermo's cultural background.
Mhm.
And Harvey Guillen worked his ass off to actually his background through Guillermo's background.
Yeah.
And I could not imagine selling my soul to a show for years upon years and having basically a deportation joke.
Yeah. Really unfortunate. It was, yeah, not a very good timed moment, but neither was, in the same episode, our biggest offender, the cheek kiss.
Oh my God.
Guys, if you think that a cheek kiss is going to satisfy, no, you know what? Let me restart this. Because if you think a cheek kiss from a different universe of these characters is enough to say, well, here, it happened, it just didn't happen in this universe, is so unfortunate.
I totally want to dive into that because
Yeah.
when the ending of What We Do in the Shadows just, it was a joke to the entire fucking audience that actually has mercy. And I'm sorry, millennials, it's not just a comedy to me.
Yeah.
To make jokes saying that, okay, we're ending this documentary to give our audience closure, and then to just do, okay, I got this. And Naja does like this hypnotizing thing, basically calling the audience stupid, saying, you will get whatever outcome you want from this. And we get weird fever dreams that are nods to other pieces of media. And then the one we get for Nandor and Guillermo is that they're married and another human. And they sleep in the same bed with each other. And Nandor wakes up from a nightmare and he's talking to Guillermo. And then Guillermo gives him a kiss on the cheek and says, go back to bed.
Sigh. And it's like, yeah, that's a satisfying ending, I guess, for some people. But was it a satisfying ending if before doing it, you're calling your audience stupid? You know?
As well as the marketing for years upon years. This is a queer show. This is a love story between Nandor and Guillermo. And then you do that.
Yeah.
After insulting your own audience.
It does feel weird to just be like, here, you can have that. Just take the scraps. It's like, it's almost a little bit more insulting than burying your gays because at least those showrunners have the commitment to say, I don't want this queer character to be around at the end of the show. Okay?
Amen.
But What We Do in the Shadows was just such a huge aggressor at the end.
And before I bitch more about the queerness and how I'm mad about it and how it didn't happen, I want to say that, like, I also thought it was a huge disservice to the character of Guillermo.
Mm-hmm.
The finale was a huge disservice to Guillermo because we see Guillermo finally has a backbone. He finally kind of has respect by these vampires, and we see him revert into an old state. And yes, it was a callback, and it was really beautiful seeing Guillermo get Nandor ready for Coffin and all of that. Like, that was so sweet. It was so lovely. But to not have a character who grew from a submissive little bitch to a badass slayer to someone living their own life and doing what they want to ending up in the same exact shoes as he started was just heartbreaking.
Yeah. And to close off the show with the coffin scene after that.
Oh God, I was so mad.
I mean, especially because Guillermo, yeah, you're right. He reverted into this version of himself that almost shows like he wanted to be the one that made the bookend. Because at the end of the day, the point of the show, quote unquote, that the writers were trying to push towards us is that these vampires are not going to change, even though we just sat through 6 fucking seasons of them doing so.
And you want to know why they changed and they adapted and they became nice fucking people again? Guillermo.
Yep. Constantly forgotten about, as if he's not the main character of the freaking show.
It wrecked me. And also, like, they dumbed down other characters. They opened new plot points at the end of the show that were never finished. They never tied up the loose ends.
No.
And it just wrecked me. And for a really long time, how I coped with it, I know it sounds crazy coping with the end of a show, but like media is everything to me. How I coped with the end of Shadows was like, I was like, okay, open ending. They're gonna do a reboot, right?
Right.
Please.
But yeah. Oh God. I still am holding out hope. I think that maybe in a few years it'll gain popularity again, and then they'll be like, okay, we should maybe make another reboot, which would be great. We would love that. We would be so on board for that. Put us in the writer's room. Thank you.
Put me in, coach.
Please.
I got ideas.
I do too. I think we could work on this. No.
You know, I want to let our audience know that my notes app is basically dedicated to new ideas, new bits for a new season of What We Do in the Shadows, a reboot. Hell, even if we can't get everybody back, I can make it work.
Yes. And making your entire notes app about that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Guys, I wrote a new pilot.
I have read the new pilot. I liked it.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But queerness.
Can I circle back to something real quick?
Yes, absolutely.
I want to circle back to the dumbing down the characters. I think that because Natasha could not be on screen as much because she was pregnant, which totally valid reason. I think it was really unfortunate that the writers decided to make her an absolute philandering idiot in the last season.
I hated that.
To the point where one entire episode, the B plot was dedicated to Naja trying to make people laugh with a disintegrating banana because she was using it as a telephone. It's like maybe you would have gotten away with that in season 1, but when you've built up these characters to be these intelligent creatures of the night that, they're idiots around humans sometimes, but to make them just kind of embarrass themselves consistently in a way that does not connect to their characters is weird.
Absolutely. I mean, they could have done something different. Like, I would have preferred Naja just like calling everyone in the office slut or something. And that would have been more in character for her to just like rip other people to shreds instead of just dumbing her down to this bimbo who doesn't know what the fuck she's doing.
Yeah. And it was especially because we have watched season upon season of her being the one constantly knowing what she's doing.
Yeah. Calling everybody out for being fucking stupid.
Yeah. I miss that Naja. What happened to her?
Not my Naja.
She got lobotomized.
Apparently. Oh my god, there's so many complaints. Before we personally discuss why this queer baiting and why the ending was so hurtful to us personally as individuals, I want to be a little positive here and let's talk about some of our favorite Nandir moments.
Yes. I love the coffin fight scene. Wow. 10 out of 10. First time I watched it, I replayed it at least 5 times. I could not get over the cinematography. That's a little dramatic. I could not get over the fight choreography because I thought it was very entertaining.
Oh, it was hot.
Yeah, it was really hot to see these characters in their element finally fucking fighting against each other because they have had this tension for so long that it's got to get out in some way. And since the show writers aren't going to make them screw.
I loved that. I also loved seeing Nandor's expressions throughout that whole scene because he's like, oh, fuck, like, Guillermo could kick my ass and is willing to. And he looks like a little bit impressed. He's like, maybe
I like this.
Maybe I like this. And there's another scene, I think I mentioned it earlier, the night market scene.
Yes.
Where he and Guillermo get into this fight, and there is some dialogue between them where it's like, I'll take it easy on you, Guillermo. And Guillermo's like, why? And he's like, I always let you win. And Guillermo's like, no, you didn't. I let you win. And I just love, I guess how Nandermo fucks
Yeah.
is beating the shit out of each other. I don't know.
We need some cathartic release somewhere.
I mean, if we could have them fight and then we get a camera cut to like an interview of somebody else, Andor's door is locked and we just hear screaming and moaning, I would have preferred that. Like, I didn't, like, a thing that I want to say about Nandermo is I didn't need to see them have sex.
No, you could show that with the other characters. It does not need to be anything like heated rivalry levels. We're not asking for that.
Like, and that's the writers like, we don't want this to be sexualized or perverted. And I'm like, how would them just like holding hands and saying like, hey guys, guess what? Like, we're in love. How is that like sexualized?
Or make it comedic.
Nobody was expecting to see Nandor and Guillermo like rail each other.
No. I mean, for those that did, I understand, but
I mean,
no.
I would have loved to see that, but I wasn't expecting that.
No.
They could have done it in so many ways. Like I always say, like they could have just started an interview off where it's like some time has passed and it's like Nandor and Guillermo in a separate room and they're trying to do an interview and we just hear Nandor like scream, Guillermo, I'm coming or something. That would I think that would have been funny too.
Yeah, because it's guys, it's a comedy.
It's a comedy. I'm sorry we're getting so emotional.
We're just mere women discussing media. I'm so sorry.
Oh, how dare we as women have rights and speak and own podcast microphones. I personally, as I've said, the queerness being a joke, especially with the community rallying behind it, all of that. I personally feel a lot of things about the queer baiting.
Yeah.
As a person who grew up in an environment that I could not be uniquely myself and would use media as an escape. I've always used media as an escape. When I saw people that represented me on a screen, my sexuality, who I am as a person, it means a lot to me. And I really thought that What We Do in the Shadows was going to take that route. I thought it was going to be a queer show, especially because it was literally listed on Hulu as a queer pride show during Pride Month.
Mm-hmm.
And for corporations, writers, etc., to bait queerness and bait a pairing of two characters that are queer, I don't think a lot of people realize how that does actually affect their viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Because being queer and growing up in a world that sometimes it's not acceptable to be who you are, representation is everything.
Yeah.
And to absolutely tear it away from people who want to see themselves, want to see any form of a queer relationship. Hell, it doesn't even have to be healthy.
Right.
But to see that and to see that it's normal enough to be on television, that's what's important.
That it's not just about sex, that it's not just about the physical intimacy.
It's about friendships, relationships, love, and caring for one another, even if it doesn't fit the mold.
Yeah. And I think the show, up until season 6, did a really good job of doing that, until, unfortunately, it just started making jokes of the queerness. And listen, I will step in just momentarily to say I understand they wanted to make a season 7, and I understand the writer's strike happened. However, and also I understand that writers change too, you know? However, when it gets to a point that all of these things that have led us to believe and make us feel that there was going to be a connection on screen, only for it to be kind of shoved in your face as a joke, felt not only insulting, but kind of like the writers were taking back the queerness and saying, well, it wasn't actually going to happen. You know, like we kind of tricked you.
Exactly. Don't bury your gaze.
Yeah. Unless you're going to, you know what? Bury your gaze if you're going to stick to that as being a central plot point. Don't just do it.
Don't label a show as queer.
No.
That celebrates pride, that has the whole queer community loving it, laughing at it, wanting so much more of it. It's a slap in the face to do what they did.
Yeah. It does feel personally a little hurtful, especially when you get people in your TikTok opinionated comment sections being like, this is why people like you should not enjoy media like this. It's like, okay, media is for everyone. And if your representation is seen on media and someone else's isn't, let's not shove it in their face. Let's not rub it in.
It's just a comedy, and I loved Jackie Daytona and Nandor De Laurentiis. Why are you complaining?
I'm complaining because I am hurt, and I think that this podcast is a really good place to let go of some of that hurt, and I hope that you guys were able to do a little bit of the same.
Yes, and we're gonna do a conclusion here. Hannah and I do love What We Do in the Shadow. We absolutely adore it. It was part of our lives and one of the things that brought us joy during really hard times in our lives for a really long time. I mean, the show brought me Hannah.
Yeah, the show brought me Maggie.
And I will give the show props that it was something that people could sit down and watch and find something each individual person in their household or their friend group liked about the show, and it allowed people to connect with each other. And I think that is a really beautiful thing. And that's also a really beautiful thing about fandom culture and pop culture.
Of course.
I love What We Do in the Shadows. And as I said, I think it was an amazing that kind of want to get into more of the gory gothic romance or horror themes and supernatural stuff. It really talks about those important themes and makes it happen in a casual way so viewers can like dip their toes into that. But discussing taboo topics and discussing horror, queerness is involved in that. At the end of the day, yes, it's a comedy, but also you have to respect your audience and the communities that rally behind your show.
Mm-hmm. It's really just common decency.
Amen.
Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on the first episode of FEM-dom. It's been so much fun hanging out with Maggie, but also hanging out with you guys. I really hope that you guys really enjoy this. It's such a huge work in progress that we've been thinking about doing for so long.
I'm so excited that we were able to do this. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope that you enjoy our little media literacy rants. I would like to give a special thanks to our editor, Terry Silva. Thank you so much for putting up with this.
Woo.
And I would also like to thank my friend Danny Whiteside. Thank you so much for making our heading podcast and all of that. We really appreciate everybody who has helped us and supported us in this journey, and there will be a lot more to come.
Yay! Yes, you're going to see more from us. Let us know if there's any fandoms that you want us to touch upon, because we will listen.
Or any fan fictions. We like that too.
Yeah, we can read some fanfics. I don't care. We can make that the whole podcast.
Whatever weird, disgusting content you would like us to discuss, we are down. But anyway, chat, drink the blood of some people that are on drugs and become wizards. Bye, freaks!
Bye!